Tonight, the ABC News exclusive, one-on-one with President Trump in the Oval Office. President Trump's first 100 days in office, Terry Moran with the president tonight. Facing an historically low approval rating, Terry asks the president about his tariffs and higher prices, about the U.S. economy as a whole, immigration, the war in Ukraine, and how President Trump responded when Terry asks if he still has confidence in his defense secretary, Pete Hegseth. Also tonight, we're tracking life-threatening storms at this hour, Cincinnati to Syracuse, from Texas all the way up to New York. 45 million Americans on alert for possible tornadoes, thunderstorms, and dangerous winds tonight, gusting up to 90 miles per hour. Ginger Z standing by with the forecast. Tonight, the horrific crash, a car driving through a field and then smashing through a building with an after-school program, the car coming out the other side. 4 girls killed, what authorities are now saying about the driver. Tonight, Amazon's idea for customers to post how much more items are costing you because of the president's tariffs. The president and the White House furious. The president getting on the phone with Jeff Bezos, how this ended. And do customers have a right to know why prices are going up? North of the border tonight, the election victory in Canada. After President Trump's tariffs and talk of making Canada America's 51st state, Canadians rejecting it all, fueling the Liberal candidate Mark Carney to victory. The Prime Minister's warning after the election, we are over the shock of the American betrayal, he said, but we should not forget the lessons. Here in the U.S. tonight, the construction workers killed when the scaffolding collapses. The runaway boat speeding up to 40 miles per hour. The driver says he was thrown off the boat. The famous painting and the child scratching it. The damage to the $50 million piece of art. And America Strong tonight, celebrating America's only female unit to serve in Europe during World War II. An honor long overdue tonight.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Tuesday night. And we begin tonight with the ABC News exclusive. Today marks President Trump's 100th day in office. And tonight, our Terry Moran sitting down with the president in the Oval Office. Terry asking the president about his tariffs, the economy, immigration, the war in Ukraine, and how the president answered when Terry asked if the president still has confidence in his defense secretary, Pete Hegseth, after those 2 group chats using the Signal app discussing military plans involving Yemen, U.S. military jets, and their timing. One of those chats included his wife. The president facing an historically low approval rating at the 100-day mark amid concern in this country over the president's tariffs and higher prices, fears of inflation. Tonight, our first look at the primetime interview that airs tonight, Terry asking the president about his advice to Americans to hang tough and what that meant when it comes to the economy.
Well, you said something a couple weeks ago that struck me. You said concerning the tariffs, which economists say are going to raise prices, you said, quote, hang tough. Yeah. It won't be easy. You said that to the American people. Is that what Americans should expect, some hard times?
I've said that during my campaign. Look, we won a campaign by a lot. We won all 7 swing states. We won the popular vote by a lot. You know, we had a tremendous campaign. I said all these things during my campaign. I said, you're going to have a transition period. We've been ripped off by every country all over the world. They're laughing at us. They thought we were stupid people, and we were. And I said, that's not going to happen. We're not going to let that happen.
Hard times are ahead?
I don't think so. I think great times are ahead. Look, since I came in, gasoline is down, groceries are down, egg prices are down, many things are down, just about everything. You know, you don't have the drop in fuel and energy and oil like we did. I took it from maybe $3.20, maybe more than that, down into a much lower number. When you have that kind of a drop, you're not going to have inflation.
Not now, but it's the tariffs, right? We still have 145% tariffs on China. Your Treasury Secretary said we basically have an embargo on China.
Look, you're trying to say something's going to happen, Terry.
No, okay, well,
nothing's going to happen.
You know business.
Terry,
I want to ask you.
I do know business.
Yes, so 145% tariffs on China, and that's good. Basically an embargo.
They deserve it.
It'll raise prices on everything from electronics to clothing to building houses.
You don't know that. You don't know whether or not China's going to eat it.
That's mathematics.
China probably will eat those tariffs, but at 145, they basically can't do much business with the United States. And they were making from us $1 trillion a year. They were ripping us off like nobody's ever ripped us off. And by the way, we have other countries that were just as bad. If you look at the European Union, it was terrible what they've done to us. Every country, almost every country in the world was ripping us off. They're not doing that anymore.
The president there on his tariffs during this wide-ranging primetime interview tonight. Terry also asking the president about his Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and whether he still has confidence in him. Here's what the president said.
I want to ask one question about Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. There's a lot of turmoil at the Pentagon right now. There's the signal chat with his wife on it where he's discussing that attack in Yemen. There's another signal chat discussing the attack on Yemen. There's a reporter accidentally involved. You said the other day that you had a talk with the secretary. Did you take him to the woodshed?
I had a talk with him, and whatever I said, I probably wouldn't be inclined to tell you. But we had a good talk. He's a talented guy. He's young, he's smart, highly educated, and I think he's going to be a very good hopefully a great defense secretary, but he'll be a very good defense secretary.
You have 100% confidence in
I don't
Pete
have
Hegseth.
100% confidence in anything. Okay, anything. Do I have 100%? It's a stupid question. Look,
it's a pretty important position.
No. You don't have 100%. Only a liar would say I have 100% confidence. I don't have 100% confidence that we're going to finish this interview.
We will.
Of course, the interview did continue. You did finish it. The president was, and we should point this out, willing to answer a multitude of questions here. Let's bring in Terry Moran. He's live at the White House tonight. Terry, of course, I read through the entire transcript. You asked about the economy, immigration, the war in Ukraine. You asked about Elon Musk and Doge, the federal cuts. This is a wide-ranging conversation tonight.
It sure was, David. We covered a lot of ground. As you say, the president was really eager to talk about immigration, his efforts on the border. That's something that he considers a big success. We also talked about Vladimir Putin and whether or not President Trump still trusts him. And we got a rare look inside the Oval Office that he has really transformed. It was fascinating.
We look forward to it. Terry Moran live at the White House. Terry, thank you. Tonight, the full ABC News exclusive interview, a primetime special. President Trump, the first 100 days, the interview in the Oval Office. Tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, right here, 7 p.m. Central, right here on ABC. Our thanks to the president and to Terry Moran. In the meantime, we turn to the other news this Tuesday night. More than 45 million Americans on alert for dangerous storms from Texas, really all the way up to New York, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Buffalo to Syracuse, all bracing tonight. Strong winds and rain amid tornado warnings in Potosi, Missouri, damage to planes and buildings. This is the Springfield Airport, and storms ripping off the roof of a business in Nixa, Missouri. Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z with the images coming in at this hour and the forecast.
Tonight, powerful storms targeting multiple states across hundreds of miles from western New York to the Ozarks. Families anxiously watching the skies in Springfield, Missouri.
Is that rotation up there?
You can hear the roar of that downpour.
There's like branches coming down.
Winds gusting up to 90 miles per hour. South of there, heavy damage in Nixa, Missouri. The roof of this business splintered. Outside Columbus, Ohio, children running when the storms erupted just as classes let out.
All right, we're in it. Take a look.
And Monday night, south of Minneapolis, KSTP meteorologist Jonathan Uhas tracking storms near Faribault, Minnesota.
This is the tornado-warned part of the storm. We're driving right through it. If there's a tornado, it's right here.
That tornado shredding this barn, confirmed as an EF1, winds at least 86 miles per hour.
And we know this continues into the evening hours, so let's bring back in Ginger Z tonight as you look forward. Ginger, what do you see?
So Pittsburgh got slammed just hours ago with 71-mile-per-hour gusts. That line is now moving through Altoona State College, and you see that's just the northeastern part of it. We got a brand new severe thunderstorm watch, David, in Kentucky. That includes West Liberty, London. It's close to Lexington there. That's all moving east. It will die out overnight, but we've got to focus on the southwest and the plains because it's not just the severe thunderstorms yet tonight, but it's the flash flood threat. Oklahoma City, for example, has had their second wettest April on record already, and they are in the significant risk for flash flooding. That is 3 to 7 inches. If they got more than 2, they would be in the top wettest April on record. It's not just tomorrow, but we see tomorrow night flash flood threat sticks around. Damaging wind will come with those storms, David, tomorrow as well.
Well, we can see the winds right there. Ginger Z has been traveling with this line of storms. Ginger, thank you. We'll see you on GMA. We continue tonight into the horrific crash, a car driving through a field and then smashing through a building with an after-school program inside, the car then coming out the other side. 4 girls were killed, and what authorities are now saying about the driver tonight. ABC's Alex Perez is on the scene in Chatham, Illinois.
Tonight, this tight-knit community in Illinois devastated after a car drove through a child care facility, killing 4, including 3 young children and a teenager.
multiple casualties, Chatham. I need EMS 1018.
Police say a woman drove a vehicle through the Why Not after-school camp in Chatham, Illinois, just south of Springfield, yesterday afternoon.
Officials say the vehicle raced through this 78-acre farm field before plowing right into the building and out the other side.
Witnesses watching in horror.
Kill some kids. Those are kids.
Oh, no. 4 girls killed, 6 other children rushed to local hospitals. The driver uninjured in the crash. Today, police identifying her as 44-year-old Marianne Akers, stating she's not in custody at this time as the cause of the crash remains under investigation. The coroner identifying the victims, among them 7-year-old Alma Bunnerkemp.
Yay!
Her family calling her a ray of sunshine who loved playing soccer, basketball, and doing gymnastics. Also killed 8-year-old Ainsley Johnson, 7-year-old Catherine Corley, and 18-year-old Riley Britton.
Riley was about to graduate, and those little kids, they don't get to live out their dreams. Yeah. And like their parents don't get to wake up to them anymore, and like they don't get to get them ready for school anymore. And like that's just really heartbreaking.
And David, authorities say they are evaluating that driver and awaiting toxicology reports, but at this point they do not believe this was a targeted attack. David?
What a horrific scene there. Alex Perez for us. Alex, thank you. Next tonight to the prices Americans are paying for everything, and Amazon's idea for customers to post how much more you're paying for these items because of the president's tariffs. The president and the White House furious about this idea. The president then getting on the phone with Jeff Bezos. So let's bring in ABC's Rachel Scott. She's live at a rally with the president there in Michigan, underway as we're on the air tonight. And Rachel, what more have you learned about this plan floated by Amazon to show customers how much more they're paying? And then this call from the president to Jeff Bezos. How did this go?
Well, David, Amazon admits that they were considering this proposal for one of their smaller divisions, Amazon Hall, to show customers just how much more they would be paying because of the president's tariffs. But amid pressure from the president himself, Amazon backing away from this idea. I'm told when the president got word of the idea, the president was frustrated, so much so that he called Amazon founder Jeff Bezos directly to complain about it. Within hours of the phone call, Amazon putting out this statement, making it clear, quote, "This was never approved and is not going to happen." Today, before departing for Michigan, the president saying that Bezos made the right call and that he solved the problem very quickly. The president on stage here in Michigan tonight announcing a little relief for automakers. The White House says that they will still have to pay those 25% tariffs on all cars and auto parts that are not made inside of the United States, but no additional tariffs on steel and aluminum, David.
Rachel Scott live there in Michigan tonight as the president marks 100 days. Rachel, thank you. We turn now north of the border tonight into the election victory being watched by the world after President Trump's tariffs and talk of making Canada America's 51st state. Canadians appearing to reject it all, fueling the Liberal candidate Mark Carney to victory. And the Prime Minister's warning after the election, we are over the shock of the American betrayal, he said, but we should not forget the lessons. Matt Gutman is just back from Canada tonight.
Fueled by an anti-Trump movement and anger over relentless pressure from the U.S. to make Canada the 51st state, the Liberal candidate Mark Carney won, capping an extraordinary comeback victory. And tonight he's taken the fight to President Donald Trump.
President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never, ever happen.
Carney is a former central banker but political rookie, telling Canadians they need to brace for new reality.
We are over the shock of the American betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons. We have to look out for ourselves.
It was just a few months ago that Justin Trudeau had resigned in disgrace and the Liberal Party was down 24 points. But then President Trump slapped those steep tariffs on Canadian goods and suggested he'd annex Canada as the 51st state, igniting the Liberal Party's unprecedented comeback. Even as voters headed to the polls just 24 hours ago, Trump posting online seeming to suggest they should instead elect him. And David, I just landed from Canada, and at almost every campaign stop, Carney's mantra was something like President Trump is going to break Canada so he can own Canada, and we're not going to let that happen. Now, we understand the two men did speak today, but now the hard part begins for Carney. He's going to have to work with the Trump administration
for the next 4 years. David.
Matt Gubman from Los Angeles tonight. Matt, thank you. And also from California at this hour, more than 55,000 Los Angeles County union workers walking off the job as part of a 2-day strike there. SEIU workers at hospitals, libraries, parks, and county offices marched through the streets of downtown Los Angeles demanding higher pay. The county pushing back tonight, saying they are facing, quote, unprecedented stresses, including recovering from the devastating fires there. The walkout ends at 7 p.m. tomorrow. When we come back here tonight, the construction workers killed after a deadly scaffold collapse. You'll see the images. Also hear a major change to the way people can buy a popular drug used for weight loss. And then the dramatic video tonight of this runaway boat speeding up to 40 miles per hour. The police officer jumping from one boat to the other, trying to stop it. The driver of the boat thrown off. Where this played out in a moment. Tonight, authorities are investigating a deadly scaffold collapse at a massive industrial construction site in Port Arthur, Texas. 3 construction workers were killed, 2 injured when their scaffolding came down overnight. Work has been halted at the Port Arthur LNG site while the investigation is underway. The huge project has hundreds of workers on location around the clock there. Tonight, the dramatic images showing police racing to stop an unmanned runaway boat. This is in Sarasota, Florida. The boat speeding in circles at about 40 miles per hour. The boater says he fell overboard after being cut off by a larger vessel. A police boat pulling up alongside. Body camera video showing a police lieutenant right there jumping from his boat onto the other one, finally getting it to stop. The boater who was thrown treated for minor injuries. Applause indeed. When we come back tonight, the major price change for a popular drug used for weight loss and the new way to get it. Also, the famous $50 million painting and the child who scratched it. You'll see this in a moment. To the index of other news tonight, a potential game changer involving the popular weight loss drug Wegovy. Novo Nordisk says it's making the drug available to several telehealth companies, including Hims & Hers Health, Ro, and LifeMD. The drug company also plans to make it more affordable for customers who are paying out of pocket. The late Pete Rose could finally get a chance at baseball's Hall of Fame without setting a deadline. Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred says he will issue a ruling on the family's request. He was banned for life for gambling on games, including his own team, while a player and a manager. The commissioner says he's discussed this issue with President Trump in February. Trump has said he would posthumously pardon Rose, who died in September. Tonight, the child at the museum scratching a $56 million painting in Rotterdam. Museum workers having to remove the famous painting by artist Mark Rothko. They say it was scratched in several places. The museum tonight believes it can be restored. No word on whether the family will be held responsible in any sort of way. When we come back here tonight, an honor long overdue, celebrating America's only female unit to serve in Europe during World War II, and you'll see it in a moment.
ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Finally tonight here, the honor 8 decades in the making, the only all-female unit to serve overseas during World War II. And tonight here, the families watching as their loved ones were finally honored. America strong. Tonight, the quiet American heroes from World War II and the new honor long overdue. They were known as the 6888 Central Postal Battalion, the first and only all-black, all-female battalion deployed overseas. More than 850 volunteers sent to Europe in 1945 to sort through millions of undelivered pieces of mail, soldiers anxiously waiting for letters from home. The battalion working 3 separate 8-hour shifts, 7 days a week, processing 65,000 pieces of mail every shift, clearing a 2-year backlog. Their motto, no mail, low morale, guiding them. And tonight, 80 years later, the battalion honored with the Congressional Gold Medal. The 2 surviving members of the unit, Anna Mae Robertson and retired Air Force Major Fannie McClendon, watching with their families at home. More than 300 descendants of the 6888 there today at the U.S. Capitol, including Stanley Early III and his sister Judith Early. Their mother, Major Charity Adams, commanding the battalion, and here she is, welcoming the first servicewomen arriving overseas. Tonight, her proud son and his message.
They serve as an inspiring role model for young soldiers entering service today, and they're true examples of American excellence.
We thank them for their service and honor long overdue. A reminder, President Trump in the Oval Office, the exclusive ABC News interview, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.